Who, in your view, has done it better? Is it the team appearing on behalf of the Deputy President or the team for the National Assembly? So that question, look at it in two ways. One, the opening statement, and two, the cross-examination and the examination in chief thus far. Okay? So there is a verse in the Bible which I always love to quote. I can't pick the exact verse in my mind right now, but it goes like this, that the first one to speak seems right until he is cross-examined. That's a very critical quote that is coming from the Bible and which has now come to fruition in these Senate proceedings. So let us start with the opening statements. If you compare the opening statement by James Orengo and the opening statement by Elisha Zebedi Ongoya, how would I rate the opening statements? Okay, first of all, I have to state that these two are giants in the legal field, and therefore I do not have the capacity to actually, come out and say he has performed or accuse one or the other to have performed poorly. It is a strategy which I believe they'll execute to their best abilities. But appearing against Elisha Ongoya, for those who know who Elisha Ongoya is, sometimes tend to be one of the most gigantic tasks, even for the best of us in the legal profession, such as James Orengo. And that battle was clearly in the offing, and you could see it when Elisha Ongoya, objected to some of the statement or factual statements which were being made by James Orengo during his opening statement. For instance, Elisha Ongoya did not take kindly, and rightly so, the allegation or the notion that the Deputy President went to London, where his brother was, and signed a will or caused a will to be drafted and signed something along those lines. He immediately objected and called out James Orengo that he is actually giving evidence from the bar. So that alone, I believe, threw Orengo off his track, because he could not mount proper courage to come back on course. So the interruption sometimes when you're giving your opening statement can throw you out of your trail of thoughts. And I saw that happening with Senior Counsel Orengo. And you could see how after that he tried to rush his opening statement to conclusion. In fact, he was forced to go into bundle of documents which he had presented in order to support or to give evidence in support of his opening statement, something which would ordinarily not happen. Opening statement is just to state what the case is about. You don't need to quote. So then you compare what Elisha Ongoya did with his opening statement. It was quite interesting. He delivered it effectively, precisely, and in the most poetic manner imaginable. And to crown it off, is that he has dominated the public opinion. So he has generally defined what the case is all about. So right now what is trending is the words that he spoke about this case, and which I believe will live with this impeachment for many, many years to come. And that is that the allegations will move from false to ridiculous to embarrassing. So basically, then he continues to conclude that this is the most embarrassing motion ever approved by the National Assembly. So he was quite effective. And if you are someone who loves social media, especially X, then you'd realize he is now dominating that aspect of social media. So in terms of opening statement, I would give Elisha Ongoya a 10 out of 10. He murdered that thing, completely annihilated it. So that is what you do in an opening statement. Now let us come to the examination in chief and the cross-examination. Sorry, before we do that, perhaps we could also rate what Orengo did in terms of his opening statement. He started quite well, but for me, I thought he wasn't quite prepared for the opening statement. I do not know why, but he wasn't quite prepared for the opening statement. I thought he rambled so much, and sometimes occasionally lost his trail of thoughts, which did not appear, it didn't appear as your the Orengo that we know, the walking constitution that we've known. But sometimes this thing happen, even for the best of us. So for Orengo, I would probably give him a 6 out of 10 in terms of his opening statement. And then now we come to what the hearing proper, the examination in chief, and now the cross-examination. So let us go to the Bible. There's a verse which I really love to quote, and that is that whoever speaks first seems right until he's cross-examined. So cross-examination is a critical aspect in, trying to challenge allegations. So if you perform well during cross-examination as a witness, then your case is strong. But if you perform poorly, then it means your case is weak. So what have we seen so far? During the examination in chief, it was quite interesting because that is much easier. You're being led to evidence. You're basically saying what your petition or motion is all about, and that is what happened. So it's very difficult. How did Peter Wanyama perform in that? I'll give it an 8 out of 10. That is how you ordinarily conduct a cross-examination in terms of producing evidence and showing the witness, asking the right questions so that the witness can explain. So it was a good examination in chief. But during cross-examination is when you realize Mutuse may have just thrown himself into the fire, basically from the frying pan into the fire. Ongoya wiped the floor with him. He was easily rattled. But the interesting thing is how Ongoya did not, allow himself to be consumed with that energy. Because so many advocates would fall into that kind of invitation, where when a witness becomes agitated and tries to explain, then you fall into that trap and you start some sort of a back and forth with the witness. But he did not fall for that because he understands that when you do that, it is more likely that you are going to lose your trail of thought. So he maintained his trail of thought in terms of how he was questioning Mutuse. And what is really coming out clear, that is destroying that evidence brick by brick. In each of the steps and each of the question that is asking is destroying that evidence. So when it comes to cross-examination, again, and I don't know whether because I do love how he conducts his cross-examination or he conducts himself during this court session, but I would again give Ongoya a 10 in terms of how he conducts cross-examination and the right questions that he's asking to the witnesses, and the fact that he cannot allow himself to be drawn into some kind of an argument with a witness. So he maintained the posture of an advocate at all times. And that is quite critical. So many advocates do not have that kind of attitude towards witnesses, they tend to be drawn into sideshows. So Zebedee Ongoya is a different breed. And next time, perhaps if the National Assembly have a motion of this nature, it is perhaps advisable that the first person you hire is Elisha Zebedee Ongoya, because that man will definitely embarrass you if you don't hire him. Put him in your corner. So as we continue to watch, I hope you will subscribe if you're watching us for the first time. Click that notification bell also so that you are notified whenever we post. Like our videos and share. Also leave a comment on what you think about this whole process. Thank you very much.